most challenging non-vegan argument I've ever had, as in an argument against veganism, I'll let you in on a little secret. Even though I always say, you know, there's absolutely no logical argument against veganism and they're all just excuses and blah, blah, blah. There is one that if someone tells me this, I can't really respond. That's 3 simple words. I don't care. Yeah. Because what can you say to someone who is just so unethical that they just don't give a shit about anything? The animals, the environment, the selfish reasons, their own health. But, you know, if someone just goes up to me and says, I don't care about animals, George, well, then I might say to them, okay, what about the environment? Did you know that by consuming these products, so you're actually destroying the planet, destroying the future for your children? I'll talk about the human issues as well. I'll talk about how we're feeding grain that could be used to feed starving African children, to fatten up livestock for burgers. I'll talk about how indigenous people are losing their home in the rainforest and stuff through deforestation. I'll talk about how there's rates in rises in rates of rape and violent crime in areas where slaughterhouses are set up as a direct, directly related to slaughterhouse employment. And if someone just still says, I don't care, what can I say to that? I could say you're an unethical piece of shit, but that might not be the most, I don't know, say it's like a colleague or something, that's not going to be professional. And say it's like a family member or something, where you can't really, you know. I mean, someone comes up to me and you starts talking about lions, ancestors, protein, what would we do with all the animals, blah, blah, blah. You or I could just destroy that in seconds. You know, we could go through excuse after excuse after excuse, because there is no argument against veganism. They're just excuses until they just straight up admit it. They're just honest and they just say, you know what, I just don't care. But the thing is, most people do care about one of those things. Humans are a crappy species as a whole, but most humans do care either A, about animals, B, about the planet and the future of this planet for their own grandchildren, or C, about humans themselves. So if someone literally just doesn't care about any of those things, then what can we say? But apart from that, there is a way to convert anyone, really, so long as you play on the right things that they care about.
Above the I don't care response, though, have you ever had any intellectual arguments that really press you? Like, you know, I've had, for example, really educated people argue with me about how veganism is not a moral obligation necessarily because of examples such as sustainable ways that you can potentially have animals grown. I hate that term.
Harvested and all that stuff they use. Yeah,
I'm talking like them now. But yeah, these examples are basically from really educated people who have degrees in whatever, and they basically have their environmental arguments and they have their ethical arguments and maybe even health arguments. But I know that none of them are legit because we know our stuff. I'm just saying, has there ever been one that you've ever had to deal with? I'm curious, where it really challenged you. You had to do extra homework, or you had to consider that maybe they had somewhat of a valid point.
Maybe when I first started out going vegan, but nowadays they all just sound like excuses to me. Every time a carnist opens their mouth and says something as a justification. Well, number one, like with the example you gave there about, you know, the sustainable way of harvesting animals so it does less damage and blah, blah, blah. These people don't even put that into practice. Veganism is a practical solution to end animal exploitation. And not only are they not offering a practical solution to end animal exploitation, but they're actually trying to find a way to exploit animals that's not even practical in itself. Oh, yeah, but if I just ate grass-fed beef, then I'd be doing less damage to the blah, 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 and less animals killed in crop harvesting and stuff like that. Oh, really? So that's literally all you do, mate? You just eat grass-fed beef and that's it? and you don't wear any animal products as clothes. When you go around people's houses, you don't have a single item from their fridge. When you go to a restaurant, you just say, "I'll have the grass-fed beef, please. Just a grass-fed steak on a plate." That's it. That's literally all the person eats. It's just nonsense. They're not offering a practical solution to any problem that we're offering.
Very well answered. I think that's 100% accurate. I've never met one person that's ever said that to me that actually does follow through and do what they say as well. So that's an accurate observation for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's all vegans are doing is just offering what's a practical solution for everyone. But if you're not going to offer me a practical solution for how you solve these issues, then I don't care too much for your argument. All you're doing is finding ways to scrutinise vegans just to give you excuses for what you do.
Yeah. Searching for ways to be intellectually superior and have to avoid the obligation of going vegan, essentially. So I guess the conclusion is that there's no such thing as a compelling, challenging argument. Once you know your stuff, you realize that there is no argument. It is just excuses, right?
That's it. And that's why, and I did a post on this recently, a vegan doesn't really have to worry about ever losing an argument to a non-vegan, because vegan versus non-vegan is just reason versus excuse. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Because while all we have to do is just say basic ethics, the basic principle that it's not okay to do to someone else what you wouldn't want to have done to yourself, the person arguing with you has to bend over backwards in order to justify unnecessary violence towards animals and the resulting destruction of the planet. What case do they even have?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot easier to go vegan than it is to search for a justification to not be vegan.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That would be the hardest thing if I was still a non-vegan now, seeing all the stuff I've seen. Every time I'm eating a product, animal product, running through justifications in my head as to why I'm doing it, instead of just getting my shit together and going vegan.